disastrous propaganda machine in the case of the political establishment in Australia by the Murdoch press, which has virtually a monopoly in all major cities. And at the same time, you seem to have a very compliant population. I think you're seeing two things happening in Australia. This huge change in the mentality of the people recognising that climate change is a factor, that Australia is a guilty party in causing climate change. At the same time, you have the voices of coal beginning to fight back, and aided and abetted in Australia by the power of the Murdoch press, which owns about 58% of all their newspapers and uses them in a sort of enforcer fashion. So anyone that speaks out on climate action, on these connections between Australia drying out, I mean, the fires are only one aspect. We've got huge problems with agriculture because of the nation's drying out. We've got towns all over Australia either having run out of water or soon to run out of water, with no likelihood for a long time of them having water. But this is a crisis of which the bushfires are the pointy end, but it's only one aspect of the crisis. But in all that, the Murdoch press are deeply complicit in their promotion of a climate denialist agenda, and that they are as guilty as anybody. I mean, in one sense, Australia is a vast crime scene, and there are guilty parties, and the Murdoch press is one of them. They should be, they should be so ashamed of their role in this. It's been appalling, and really they need to change, their stance on this issue, because it's not really about politics at all. It shouldn't be about that. This is about our survival as a people. It's a fundamental issue.
Well, maybe some of our listeners here in Los Angeles can protest in front of Rupert Murdoch's vineyard right here in Bel Air, which actually recently a fire came all the way up to the vineyard and almost burned it down. So he's almost been scorched by the reality of climate change. But for the American audience, just in closing, Richard Flanagan, what you're telling us, the domination of the Murdoch press, and of course they do have influence over television as much as they do over printed newspapers, the idea would be that in this country, about 60% of the media in this country was just like Fox News. That would get people's attention to understand how much Australians are propagandized.
They're propagandised on the one hand, and they've just been fed lie after lie after lie about climate change. And on the other hand, anybody, any scientist, any public figure, any journalist, anybody who seeks to simply speak the truth about what is happening has their character fundamentally attacked. Whether it's a fire chief, whether it's a senior scientist,